There are times when it feels like you're giving your all and things just don't seem to be moving in the direction you want them to go. They don't seem to be moving as quickly. And this is exactly when our motivation can waver. But this is exactly the time when consistency matters. Today, we're going to talk about how do we stay motivated when things seem to be moving slow. Hey, welcome back. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm glad that you've joined me on my 100-day walk to consistency. Today, we are building a new version. We are building a more consistent version. Each day, we're putting a piece of the puzzle in place to help us to be more consistent and to set ourselves up for success. So let's dive into our topic today. But before we do that, I want to remind you that consistency is your key. It is the power. It is the tool that you can use to set yourself up for success. It's not in having talent. It's not in having all the resources, but it is in remaining consistent. So let's go ahead and we'll see you on the walk. So why is it that progress seems slow to us? I think a lot of times it has to do with our expectations. You know, I am becoming more and more a part of the microwave generation. I am part of the generation that expects things right now. You know, in microwaves, we pop it in, and within a minute, 2 minutes or so, it's ready. But sometimes things work not like microwaves, but they work like crock pots. I know that's hard to hear, hard to listen to. But I think sometimes our expectation is that it's going to happen now. It's going to happen in this moment. It's going to happen immediately. And I think I've joked and talked about that six-pack, right? So going into the gym and getting in there and working out, and you give it your all, you're lifting, get on the treadmill, maybe even get in the sauna, and stepping out of the sauna, going back to the gym and going in front of the mirror and saying, wait a minute, what happened to my six-pack? Well, I think sometimes our expectation is that things are going to move a lot faster than they will, than they should, than that is reasonable. Remember, any lasting change, any reasonable change, any successful long-term change takes time. It is the question that people ask all the time: how long is it going to take for me to get whatever that result is? And if we're not careful, we set ourselves up for disappointment and for failure because we're expecting it in a time that is much shorter, much more compressed than would be reasonable. So number one, our expectation. So if you're losing weight, we've talked about kind of a good pace for weight loss. And we said a half a pound to a pound a week. So that means that if you're trying to lose 50 pounds, then that's not all happening next week, but it will happen. But the consistency is important in maintaining success in that weight journey. Another one of the reasons why we sometimes it seems like time is moving much more slowly is that we forget the compound effect. We forget the results of the compound effect. And the compound effect says that small, intentional actions over time build momentum, and they build in a progressive way. So that over time, the things that you do are compounding. They're building on each other. They are supporting each other, and they're moving each other in the direction to be success. So the compound effect, going back to the weight loss. So you are losing a half a pound, and this week you lose a half a pound and it doesn't seem like anything happened. You get on the scale, it looks pretty much the same. Well, unless you want to have one of those digital scales, right? So it looks pretty much the same. And you get on the scale next week and it looks pretty much the same. And if you are someone who's tracking your BMI, right? You know that for men, it takes 6 pounds of weight loss to move 1 BMI point. And for women, it takes 5 pounds of weight loss to move 1 BMI point. So if we're talking about half a pound to a pound a week, then that's between 2.5 to 5 weeks of time that you will put in to see that move. But each time you get on the scale, each time you look at that number, it may not seem as though it's changing, but all those add up. And then one day, boom, there it is, right? So that's the beauty and that's the power of the compound effect. The other reason is sometimes we don't have visual results, which is, we don't see it. We don't see it happening, which is one of the reasons that I say to people, I need you to be monitoring. I need you to be checking. I need you to have some digital cue or some visible cue. I shouldn't say digital because it doesn't have to be digital. Some cue that you're doing something. And so when you are talking about losing weight, the visual is that scale. Let me pause, because I know that visual sometimes can be painful for some people when they look at that scale. But that is your cue. That is your indication that things are moving in that direction. If you are saving money, then you're looking at that bank account. If you are working on getting up daily to go walking, right? 100-day walk to consistency, then you're checking that off on the calendar so that each day you see that, boom, that one is gone. Boom, this one is gone. Boom, that one is gone. And you can look up and you can see those check marks. You can see those X's on each of those days. And so you know that the days are being checked off. A bunch of cars going by. Otherwise, it seems as though things are not moving in that direction, okay? So sometimes it's just a visual cue that is missing. And so we think, because we don't have the visual cue, that things aren't working, things aren't moving, things aren't improving, but they actually are improving. We just have not seen it, right? We just have not seen it yet. And so I want to make sure that we are documenting, right? So there that comes again, making sure that we're documenting. So how do we stay motivated when progress seems as though it's not moving in the direction that we want? One, we want to focus on the progress, on the process, not on the outcome. All right, so we're going to focus on the process and not on the outcome. And this goes back to some other discussions that we've had in this space, right? Because the process is changeable. The process is adjustable. The process is manipulatable. The goal is the goal. The goal, we're trying to get down there, right? We're trying to lose the weight, the 50 pounds. We're trying to lose whatever it is you're doing. We're trying to save money. And that eventuality, that result is going to come. But I can't do anything about that right now. But what I can do is I can make sure that I am processing properly, that I'm moving in the direction that I need to be in so that I can be successful, so that I'm setting up the right tools, I'm setting up the right procedure, I'm setting up the right pace, whatever it is, so that you can adjust that. I think I may have mentioned the story about my son. He plays basketball. And I remember we were with one of his coaches, and he was practicing free throws. And so he would stand at the line, bounce the ball, and he would shoot. And he would come back, he'd stand at the line, bounce the ball, he would shoot. And his percentage was not it was not very good. And so the coach walked up and he said, "Hey, if you would hold the ball in this way," right? He just changed a position where he had his hands, and his percentage, his accuracy went up. I think it went up to like 85, 90% in that particular practice. And as he used that, then he was much, much better at shooting free throws. And so that is the thing about focusing on the progress, on the process, and not the goal, because we can make changes in the process. We can adjust the process. We can make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to be successful in the process. So make sure that you're focusing on the process and not necessarily focusing on the goal. And you want to break long-term goals into smaller chunks, right? So this goes back to the chunking that we spent time talking about. It is hard to sometimes do things that are huge, that are large, that are big in terms of the goal that we're going after. But if we break it up into smaller chunks, then those chunks are certainly more manageable than that whole. And so making those smaller, more manageable goals, or breaking it into that, or chunking, then that allows us to see progress, right? So no longer are we necessarily looking for the whole right now, but what we're looking for is progress in terms of that particular smaller chunk that we saw. And then you want to remember your why. You know, why comes in. Remember, it is the thing that gives you the wind beneath your sail. It is what allows you to sometimes get through when the going gets tough, if you will, right? Because there are going to be times when you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, 100 days. Can I do that? I want to sleep in today. I want to, whatever it is, right? There are going to be times when that's going to happen. And so your ability to be consistent will depend in a large part on your why. Are you able to remember your why? Are you able to support? Is the why able to support you? And that's why he said with the why has to be strong enough to support you on those days when it's going to be tough, because the days are coming. So remembering your why in terms of staying consistent and making sure that we're doing the things that we need to do. So what is the power of perspective? The power of perspective. Remember, how we look at things determines the story that we tell. And the story that we tell determines how we are able to implement, and the actions that we take, the feelings we have, and those actions dictate our success. I want you to say that. Let me say that again. So our perspective determines our emotions, determines our actions, and those actions lead to success or not success. And so our perspective is very important because it's part of the story that we are constructing. So how we look at something, it is what determines what we see and just the surrounding of that story that we're going to create, right? So look at how far you've come. Number one. Wow. So we are on day number 21. Did I say that at the beginning? I think I did. Welcome to day 21. We're on day 21, y'all. And actually, let me go here because I want you to see. This is, we usually go to the other part of our complex, but this is one of the ponds that we have. We turn around. You guys get to see that right behind me. And usually there are lots of mallards here. Let's see, do I see some over on that side? But anyway, that's kind of a different view. Not a different view, but a different location. Still in our complex, but different location. But yeah, but look at how far you've come. So on day one, you didn't think that you could do this. On day two, right, you're like, okay, I'm gonna try it. Day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and here you are, 3 weeks in to 100 days. Isn't that amazing? So this is why celebrating and documenting is so important. So on that chart, on the calendar that you have on your wall, you're checking off the days. And so if you're on day 21 of the 100-day journey, think back to day 1. What have you learned? How have you improved? What tweaks have you made? What have you adjusted? What benefits have you gotten? Right? I'll tell you, one of the benefits I've gotten is that I've become more planned. I shouldn't say consistent. I've become more organized, right? Because I've had to fit this in. I've got to fit this into my schedule so that I can walk and so that I can do the videos. And so I used to try to walk at night, right? In my regular walking. But if I'm going to video, I can't walk at night, right? Because suppose I can get some lights so we can have a conversation. But I've had to figure out the rest of my day so that I can be here. So I've had to look at my calendar. I've had to be more organized in where and when I do what I do. And so there are times where I just throw some stuff in the car, right? I've got hats, I've got t-shirts. I've got to make sure my equipment is charged, right? So all of that takes planning. And that has organized me in lots of different places, right? So notice that is a spillover from this process, okay? And so the consistency that I'm seeing is a consistency in other parts of my life and allowing me to be more organized in what I do. And I think I'm gonna have to cross over here in just a minute. So I'm gonna wait for these folks to go by. Okay. Let's go. All right. And then number 2, we want to reframe slow progress. Instead of saying, hey, this is slow progress, how about say this is steady growth? Right? This is steady growth. And that allows us to think of it in a different way. It's a different mindset. It's a different frame shift, if you will. And so that allows us to tell a different story. It allows us to tell a different story about what is going on. Yeah. Notice the circumstance didn't change. But what has changed is the story that we are creating about what exactly is going on. Okay? So slow progress isn't a sign necessarily of failure. In fact, it is a sign that you're building a solid foundation. Remember we said anything that's worth having, anything that's going to be consistent, anything that's going to be long-term will take time. And so the fact that you are seeing slow progress, right, doesn't mean that it's slow progress. It just means that you're putting down the fundamentals that are needed to be successful. You're grounding yourself. Often when things change quickly, we haven't really learned the process. We haven't really learned what it takes to maintain that benefit, which is why for a lot of times when I see clients, when I talk to them, when I see patients in the office, people come in, they say, hey, I want to be on medication to help me lose weight. And the questions that we have as we talk with them, a lot of it has to do with, well, what is going on in your life right now? What's happening? Why do you want to lose weight? What has caused you to put on the weight? And what is causing you to maintain the weight where it is? because simply losing weight quickly is not a formula for success. If we've learned why the weight was there in the first place, and if we learn the tools that are necessary to keep the weight off, then now what we've done is we've set ourselves up for success. Okay, so I want you to remember, those of you who are out there who you're using this process to lose weight. Losing weight, I love it. I think a lot of us need to lose weight to get ourselves in a healthier space. But learn the process. Learn what it takes to keep the weight off. Learn what it takes. Learn what it is that's causing the weight in the first place. What's causing you to eat? What's causing us to go to food as a buffering behavior? And if we learn that, then we can be successful. Okay? So reframe from slow progress to growth, right? Steady growth. Very important. Because remember, the stories that we talk about, the stories that we tell, very important in how we are going to, how we're going to be successful as we move forward. And then, what are some tips? What are some tips to stay motivated, particularly during those times when we're having challenges in
time 29 minutes 9 seconds, total distance 1.0 miles, average pace 29 minutes 9 seconds per mile, split pace 29 minutes 9 seconds per mile.
All right, so you heard the statistics there. So tips for staying motivated. So number one, surround yourself with positivity. Your environment plays a huge role. Let me say that. The environment plays a huge role in your success. So if you have positivity around you, people who are positive, support groups, a community that you are working with, then your likelihood of getting benefit and keeping benefit goes up, right? If you are surrounded by negativity, then your likelihood of success and maintaining that success goes down. So surround yourself with positivity, and not just the people around you, but also positivity within yourself, the story that you're telling yourself. Practice gratitude. Now, I'll tell you, this one can sometimes be challenging, and it's an area that I need to work on, because sometimes I have a tendency to think about the 20% and not the 80%. You know, 80-20 rule that says that we focus on the 20% that we're not getting, 20% that we're not seeing, 20% where we're not being successful. We neglect the 80%. So if we're going to be positive, then that 80% that's happening, that's working, let's be grateful for that. So you may be right now, you know, we're on day 21, and maybe you're on day 19, right? So you missed a day for some reason, but my goodness, you're on day 19, right? That to me is incredible. I'm grateful that you're on day 19. I had one of my community members, I'm not sure how long ago now this was, we were talking about fasting in our New Year, New You process. And I got a message. It says how disappointed she was because she had not, and I think at the time we were doing a 72-hour fast, and she was disappointed because she had not achieved that. So I sent back a message. I said, oh, you know, tell me, well, how far did you get? How long did you fast? And she said 60 hours. How many hours did I say? She said 60 hours. I'm like, man, that is amazing. That's huge, right? Because it is challenging sometimes for people to fast 16 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, 52 hours, but she had gotten to 60 hours. And I said, okay, yeah, that's grateful. Be grateful for that. You didn't get to 72, but my goodness, look at how far you've come. And so I want you to, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. I want you to be grateful. I want you to find things to be grateful for. Grateful that I woke up this morning. Grateful that I'm able to go walking. Grateful that I have the thought process to be able to think about what my day is going to be like, right? Grateful that we've got this community, 100-day walk to consistency. Grateful that I am able to come out and talk with you. Great, I mean, it just, man, the things that I can be grateful for, I mean, they're endless. And so I want you to be grateful for where you are. Wherever you are in the process, you've come a far way. And I want you to be grateful for that. And then I want you to visualize your success. It's coming. It's happening. You may think it's slow. You may think it's not happening. You might say, man, I don't see this thing moving at all. I don't see my weight moving. I don't see my blood sugars getting better, but it's coming. Consistency is the key. And so visualize, what does that look like? What does that feel like when you get to the end of this thing, right? When you've reached that goal, when you've gotten to the point where you can say, okay, I've done it. I've done a 100-day walk. My weight's gone down, right? I've reached that goal. I have improved my A1C. My metabolic disease has gotten better. My cholesterol has gotten better. My doctor says that my metabolic age has improved. Right? What does that feel like when you get there? Right? And if you're doing something else, right? So we're talking about health, but if you're doing something else, if you're saving money, what does it feel like when you get to that goal? If you are working on a relationship, you're working on a new business, you're working on a new proposal, a new book, a new podcast, a new blog, a new whatever it is, what does it feel like when you get there because you've been consistent? Yeah, visualize that. What are you gonna do? What are you wearing? Who are you gonna call? Who are you gonna celebrate with? How are you gonna celebrate? Yeah? Oh yeah, all of that is important. So I don't just want you to say, it's gonna be good when I get there. No. I want this thing to be rich. Remember, our visualization is part of our story. And so we want to put color to it. We want to put sounds, all kinds of sights. We want to put texture to it. We want to put people in it. We want smells to be associated with the success so that our brain says that is true. That is reality right there. And the brain takes us in that direction. It finds everything it possibly can to help us be successful. Visualization, so important in this process. Yeah. I love it. So now that we've had that conversation, let's get to our challenge. So our challenge today is to focus on celebrating small wins and staying motivated when it seems like things are moving slow. So here you are. You ready? Here we go. So I want you to identify one process that you can focus on today. One process you can focus on today, whether it's completing a task or sticking to your daily routine, whatever it is, find one process. Number 2, celebrate a small win from this past week. I mentioned to you when I work with my clients, one of the first things I say, okay, what is a win that you've had this week? So celebrate a small win, write it down and share it with somebody. Yeah, community is so important. So find that small win, celebrate it, call somebody up and say, hey, this is what happened to me this week. I've had this win. And then reframe your slow progress, right? The slowness that you see. Think of it as a steady growth. Remember, the journey matters as much as the destination and the result, okay? By shifting your perspective and focusing on the process, you stay motivated even when things seem to be slow. So important. Oh, wow. So I'm so excited. And the wind is picking up a little bit. I'm so excited that you've been here with me, that I've been able to hang out with you for another day in this 100-day walk to consistency. I want to encourage you, make sure that you are doing the challenges, make sure that you're working on those, and make sure you're also doing the work pages, because when you're done with that, you would have created a manual for your success. Okay, that's what we're working on, creating a manual. So when you do each of those, it is setting you up for success, and then you can use that and you can pull that out whenever you're working on other areas of your life and other areas of your setting yourself up for success in other areas. 100-day walk to consistency. Remember, it's domino. It extrapolates. It spills over into everything we do. Just like I said, this 100-day of consistency, this walking, has caused me to be more organized. I've had to be. So you will find that that's the case as well. So reframe. It's not that there's slow progress. It's just that you are getting deeper, more pronounced growth. You're getting better at learning and setting those foundations for the things that we need to do to set ourselves up for success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Thank you for joining me for my 100-day walk to consistency. I want you to join me tomorrow for day number 22. As always, that's Wood with an E. And here I educate, I empower you, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Hey, we'll see you on the walk tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.